Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. Hope you guys have all had a great, wonderful holiday weekend, and I hope you're able to take a little bit of a mental break from the market. We can all become overconsumed, of course, with what's the next trendy stock, trading, watch list, all the information that we're fed. So sometimes a little mental break is important to kind of reset and refresh our mindset. And we are back. Let's talk about how we kick off on Monday today with the markets actually cooling off slightly because we have a lot of tariff noise that's kind of re-entering back into the atmosphere. Nothing that's really alarming to me personally, but we'll be talking about it. And Palantir actually trading opposite of how the broader markets did today with their little bit of cool off. Palantir came up nearly about 4% on the day, finding its bottom and is probably going to be testing, all-time highs here in the near future. We'll be talking about some other big stocks like Robinhood that we've been talking about recently and getting all the details that you need to know. So hit the like button, subscribe for daily videos, and let's pop it up on the screen here. Like I mentioned, Palantir found that nice bottom right at 130, and you can see this nice reversal popping back up to the 140s. And if we see a green day tomorrow on Palantir that continues to see some buying pressure, could definitely reassume this 140 kind of zone and could continue to consolidate here, basically getting ready to test these all-time highs again at about that 150. We've seen the testing of those all-time highs about 150 twice now. So for the third time, what's going to be the push that does actually accelerate that over? Is it going to be a catalyst, earnings? What's going to be that next big piece of information that will help Palantir reach that next leg? But nonetheless, its price action looking very well. Stocks that always trade in the green, especially on red days, kind of stand out. So the fact that Palantir is doing that, doing very well in terms of just their trading action in the overnight session right now, sitting at 139.11. So basically just sitting there. Not a ton of big things to report on Palantir specifically. What you do have, when Palantir basically just kind of consolidates and these big, legacy media outlooks that they don't know, how to report on Palantir, what do they talk about? Of course, they talk about their valuation. We know that Palantir is trading at a very, very high premium. The valuation, of course, blah, blah, blah. Forward price of sales of nearly 80, is hard to justify in paper. We know it's at a high valuation. But, look at what company compares to Palantir? Really none right now. So that's why it's trading at this high premium. There's nothing else like it. And Palantir is executing at incredible rates with the amount of revenue they're bringing in terms of contracts that they're having on both the governmental and the commercial side of things. So that's why it's trading at a high valuation. Until you see some other type of big competitor or something, be able to even come close to what Palantir can do, then, hey, maybe you can kind of justify or talk about the valuation concerns, but it's not a big concern of mine right now personally, especially here, seeing on X, the Army's proposed fiscal year 26 budget is at a glance. People saying they smell more Palantir coming, talking about their proposed budget, what they're going to be talking about on, operations, maintenance, and all these, Army's requests increased by 6.9%. They want to increase their budget. So looking at this proposed budget, we do know this administration is very, very, you could say, supportive of the Army and defense type of system. So the fact that, the military, that's always been a big, big priority for the Trump administration. So increasing budget, probably I could see that going through. And, you're just going to continue to see deals with Palantir as they've been doing. Every day it seems like they're establishing new partnerships. Let's turn it over to Robinhood. What's been going on with them? Now, Robinhood's at 93.91 right now. Robinhood's been doing a good job staying at these highs in the 90s, and it's like, oh my gosh. Robinhood's been on this incredible run, but now it's cooling off and holding at these high levels. What I do like to see in terms of trading action is that Robinhood gapped up here, to the 70s after that anticipation of the S&P 500 inclusion and kind of consolidated here and never came back down. And then it did the same thing in the 80s, and now it's doing the same thing in the 90s as we speak. Building these support levels, consolidating, and testing these all-time highs. Robinhood has now tested the $100 zone twice. So the $100 zone twice, I think breaking past that $100 is not just a matter of if, it's more of a matter of when. We know there to catch a token event was crazy with their tokenization of assets being released, and of course with the private equity exposure that they're bringing to the European Union. And they're actually facing a little bit of scrutiny right now because I think there's just some misunderstanding, more from kind of maybe after OpenAI. OpenAI has been in an interesting situation because they've had a ton of employees that have actually been leaving OpenAI, and whatever Zuck is cooking up over at Meta, he is taking employees from everywhere. Some of the top employees in terms of software development and AI engineering, Zuck is scooping them up. So what does Meta have on their back burner? What are they going to be pushing out here soon? We don't know, but Meta's been on an incredible run. They're over I don't know if I have their chart even up right here, but 718 right now. Meta's been doing incredibly well. So OpenAI, what they do basically said, they came up with this statement saying that they warn users that these OpenAI tokens from Robinhood are not OpenAI equity, saying, hey, that's actually not a direct ownership of AI equity. And I think everybody kind of knew that. Like, everybody was kind of like, no duh. The whole tokenization of the private equities in terms of SpaceX and OpenAI, those are the first private equity kind of exposures in terms of tokenization. That's just tracking the valuation. All it is a valuation tracker of these private equities. It's not like you're owning these at all. That's what the whole tokenization rollout of all the assets. You're not owning those stocks directly. It's just basically a tracker of their valuations, and Robinhood's kind of taken care of all the nitty gritty on the back end. I don't think people really care of actually having the official ownership of OpenAI, as long as it values and trades like how it's supposed to be. So people just want to get in at a price and receive a capital gain and get out. I don't think they really realize, care about how it's actually being tracked, or what the actual personalization of ownership is. But I thought that was kind of interesting that OpenAI came with that. Some people are talking about, what's the legality behind this? Is there going to be some legal pressure from Robinhood? Robinhood being the first one to come out with this kind of groundbreaking type of product, of course, they're going to face some scrutiny. So if they, coming up to 94.10, right? Look at this in the overnight session. But if they, face some legal scrutiny, I think that's going to be some noise. Robinhood, major disruptor, over the next 5 to 10 years is going to be incredibly crazy. We see some big analysts, some big firms that are starting to increase their price targets. Goldman right here maintains Robinhood's markets with a buy and raises its price targets from 91 to 104. And you also have Citi maintain its neutral with a price target of $100 from its previous price target of $50. So this whole analyst of these big firms coming out here going past 100 and 100 and beyond for their price targets shows you that institutions are gearing up for where Robinhood is probably going to be testing next, and that's going to be over that $100 threshold. We're talking about S&P 500 futures slipping. Oh my God, markets in turmoil. I say that because CNBC, I'm starting to see that markets in turmoil meme all across X, and I love it. When if we see the S&P 500 index, come down 1%. What was it down today? Down 0.79% at 62.29. So the fact that we're down here, down less than 1% in the day, cooling off, returning back into the week here, that's not that bad at all. Having a little bit of a fresh breath here before possibly another run-up. What you're seeing here, they're talking about the administration, Trump announcing 4 new duties on countries and extending the reciprocal tariffs to August 1st. A lot of people were kind of anticipating the whole extension of the deadline for the reciprocal tariffs. One of the big things that's coming out now is these personalized letters that Trump is sending out to these different countries on what tariffs they're going to be paying up to 40%. But these are all countries that Bangladesh, Bosnia, Cambodia, Indonesia, all these different kind of random countries that we don't really do a ton of trade with. I don't know if the market is really caring that, hey, they're being charged with the 40% tariff, with maybe we don't do that much, trading with them. The big ones are, India, of course, China, we kind of had somewhat of a deal that was announced. South Korea, these big things that, big countries that we're trading with. What are the big ones? That's what the market wants to hear about. If it only accounts for, 1 or 2% of the overall trade, and, what effects is that really going to have at the end of the day? So a lot of this tariff type of news, and he also announced the additional 10% tariff on countries aligning with the anti-American policies. A lot of these big tariff shots and personalized letters, I think are just negotiation tactics, and I think they're just going to keep continuing until, I guess, all these countries come into some type of deal and negotiation. But nonetheless, it's kind of noise to me personally, and I think the market's kind of agreeing with that sentiment, just because we haven't seen a really big reaction from them. In terms of Tesla, what's happening here? Coming down under $300. Now, Tesla's been on the severe decrease here, especially as Elon Musk came out and said, hey, he's announcing a new party. He's kind of going, you could say off the rails or whatever, but he's just tweeting a lot on X. And Tesla shareholders, I personally don't have any exposure to Tesla right now in terms of, individual shares or options or anything like that. But I can probably feel for them becoming quite exhausted just because we had Elon that said that he was going to come back focus on Tesla and get out of politics. And hey, now he's going back into politics. So I think Elon, it would be better just to focus on he's great at building these companies. We've seen, Tesla, very innovative, SpaceX, everything that he touches in terms of business usually is pretty well in terms of disrupting industry. Maybe politics just isn't his thing. But we'll see here what he does forming the American Party. Tesla under $300. It typically doesn't last here too long, but we'll see what he does. A continuation of a sell-off, of course, could happen, but we'll see if we see some green here in the overnight session up about $3. So that's all I'm going to have for you guys. What do you guys make of all this? Peace out, take care, and I'll catch you guys later.